This is Capital Games. I am the Wiz, and we're up for another gaming news roundup for this day on Thursday, May 25th, 2023. I'm going to cover the news that happened from the 22nd to the 25th, including a wrap-up of what happened at the PlayStation Showcase on Wednesday. If you did not see it on the channel, if you are just a podcast listener, I watched the entire thing and posted my impressions of it on the YouTube channel, the PlayStation Showcase. If you want to check that out and see my opinions on there, you can go right ahead on the YouTube channel. If you haven't, I'm going to go over the recap and my thoughts on the PlayStation Showcase that happened on Wednesday. But before we start, let me discuss the game that I am playing this week, and that is, of course, Arcade Paradise. I know I said I was going to play a lot more of this. I didn't get the chance to. I got to play another hour, but it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun, actually. I've been trying different games as I was playing as well. I actually played, I think, another hour and a half after me and Zero did the movie podcast on Howl's Moving Castle. I played a lot around that time, and it's, again, a lot of fun. I love the time management aspect of it. I love how they gamify everything in there, and the games are fun, too, that they have in the arcade cabinet. And apparently the way this is the games are more fun as you go along, so I'm going to really look forward to that. I got, in my time last, a new cabinet that's like Outrun, essentially. So that was a lot of fun on that one, too. I enjoyed that. Not much more to report on that. I'm going to, of course, play that at the Weekly Dividend on Saturday. So look forward to that when that happens. All right, so we're at the end of the week, but let me talk about what I think is going to be the new game of the week this week. The one that is probably going to get the most attention. That's going to be Lord of the Rings Gollum. Oh, this is bad. I mean, I kind of figured this was going to be bad when it came out. This has been delayed numerous times, and everything that's been shown off about it has not looked good, and it looks like that has come to pass. OpenCritic has it at a week 43, with only 5% of critics recommending playing the game. Ouch. That might be the worst reviewed game of the year thus far. Eat your heart out. Redfall. Oh my lord, that is bad. The reviews I have read, and I have watched a few of them online as well, have pretty much said that the game feels like it was made for a different character or for a different game entirely. It feels kind of odd to play as Gollum, but he's doing all these different things that are very un-Gollum-like. Trolls are terrible, the platforming's awful, the game is just not fun. Yeah, it looks like to be a serious dud. And for a $60 game, man, if I pre-ordered that and I got it for $60, I think I'd be infuriated. But yeah, it's looking like this is going to be one of the biggest duds of the year. Well, we have time, so there might be something that's worse, but that's not good. That is really not good. A lot of reviewers are asking, essentially, why was this made, number one? And two, how could it be made so poorly? Like, this is being excoriated, like, terribly. The highest review I have seen is from PC Gamer, who gave it a 64 out of 100, which is a little more than average, but even then, that's pretty bad. And the PC requirements for this game are ridiculous. They're recommending a 4090 and to have ray tracing on at balanced to get the graphics that you are seeing on all those trailers, which do not look great. So you're wasting all that power on such a shit game. That is not great. So I would say, just by the critics right here, I have no interest in playing this. This did not look good at all to me. But the critics themselves are also saying, like, this is awful, so don't bother. So if you're interested, I would say wait for a deep sale. Like, honestly, I would not be surprised if it comes to pass by the end of the summer. This is around the $20, $30 range. This could be a disaster. It might drop in price in a month, but we'll see on that one. Okay, so let's get into some of the news that happened in the past few days. Microsoft officially files an appeal from the CMA's decision to block the Activision Blizzard sale. Do not expect a result from the appeal for a while. It's looking like they want to have a speedy appeal for this, but that could take up to about 9 months. So we're looking at another year of talk about this. And let's not forget also the FTC is also trying to block this too. So if the FTC succeeds, we might hear more about this going forward. So this might be a while before we actually find out what happens with this merger. We will see what happens around that time, but as of right now, the appeal has been officially filed by Microsoft. This next story coincides with it, and I'll explain why. PlayStation says it will reveal an aggressive cloud gaming plan. Here's why I am bunching these two together. It's because the CMA decided the reason why they wanted to block this merger was due to cloud gaming. The reason why they decided to block it is because they felt that if they were to let it pass, it might hurt other companies that want to get into the cloud gaming sphere. Well, here's PlayStation saying, oh no, we're going to have an aggressive plan with it, which kind of sounds like they are not so worried about the cloud gaming aspect in there. They think even with the sale going on, they can dominate in that field. So, yeah, I mean, I think this might have been a bad tactical move on PlayStation to have these quotes and to reveal that they're going to have something for cloud gaming. I would have held back on their end, because at that point, I would have said, well, we would like to, but with the way that they're going to dominate and everything, it might not be worth our while at this one. But now that they're revealing that they have plans, that they're going to be aggressive with it, that might have been tactically a bad move. But then again, I don't see the CMA really backing down, so it might not have a big deal when it comes to that. So we'll move on from there. Sony says the PSVR 2 beat the original PSVR's initial sales. I think the number was over 600,000, which is double the amount that Forbes said before the headset came out. So whoever is the reporter who reported that, and I know it's not Schreier. Schreier's Bloomberg. I'm sorry. I think it was Bloomberg that said it. I think it was Bloomberg. Whoever that reporter said that the forecast was going to be about 200,000 looks really stupid right now, and for good reason. That is really bad in that end. But my feeling of this is basically that it is good that the PSVR 2 beat the original PSVR headset in sales for its initial run, which I guess is not a surprise. My question is, how will it do after the initial sales? Because the initial sales are usually people who are diehards for PlayStation or VR. So they wanted that biggest, latest right now. So that makes sense. I'm thinking a little about 6 to 12 months ahead of the line. Are they going to get much more sales after that? They're going to need more software, and judging by what happened in the showcase, that looks a little sketchy. And with the price the way it is, I don't see a lot of people jumping to spend $500 on the system when they need another $500 system to actually play it. So I don't know how this is going to be, but that's good sales for now. But my issue is going to be later on down the line, if it's going to beat the million. I think people are thinking they might beat 1 million by the end of the year. I'm still not sure about that, but we will have to see how fast those sales numbers go. Because if it starts selling really well despite its price, then that would be pretty fascinating on that end. But we'll see on that one. And finally, Embracer Group shares tank after fallout of $2 billion deal. Right now, we don't know who the deal is with, and a lot of people are speculating online as to what gaming company it might have been that the deal was about. They're throwing around details of it could be Bandai Namco, it could be Konami, it could be FromSoft, it could be all these different companies. And I want to pour water on that a little bit, because with the way Embracer Group is working right now, it doesn't necessarily mean that they were trying to get a game dev studio. They could have been trying to get another property from another group. Just remember, a few months ago, they got the Lord of the Rings property from Middle-earth Enterprises. They could have been trying to go for another property or IP in that end. So that could be what it is as well. I'm not sure. I don't even want to speculate what it could be that they were trying to make a deal on for $2 billion. This could also be a $2 billion deal to lend a property to itself. We don't know at this point, but with that falling through, they had to slash their projections, which is what caused the share price to tumble. It's pretty bad. But We don't know. Embracer Group still needs to come up with some bigger games. I think they're still trying to work on Legacy of Kain at this point. They have other properties that they're looking forward to doing. So we will see how that goes. But yeah, that's not great. That's terrible, actually. So for the top story, the PlayStation Showcase recap. Okay, the PlayStation Showcase was yesterday. I did a whole video on my reactions to that. If you want to check it out, it is on the YouTube channel now. But overall, I think this was a C grade affair, maybe C minus. I really wasn't particularly impressed. Some looked decent. I mean, Spider-Man 2 showed very well. There were a couple of different types of games. Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater Remake was shown, okay, in a trailer. That's great. But overall, like, the one thing I noticed throughout the showcase is that they're mentioning a lot of stuff for next year or for in the future past that. So for the next 6 months, it looks kind of barren. And speaking of barren as well, the PSVR 2 had like 4 or 5 titles. And my thought was that they were going to have at least maybe a third to a half of this dedicated to PSVR 2, because they have this new system that is out, and the talk of it has been not great, but the games would help. And they had like 4 or 5 different games. They announced that Resident Evil 4 is in development. The only thing that I can really recall in there was like a Crossfire game, which I thought was like, okay, that's weird. So I was actually really surprised that the PSVR 2 didn't have a stronger showing on that. They also announced the Project Q handheld, which is a Wi-Fi only streaming device. So, okay, whoopee. They announced the earbuds, which, okay, was kind of cool, I guess. And they had a bunch of other games that they showed off. The games they showed off, I want to tell you these following titles, because these titles that were shown off at the PlayStation Showcase are actually going to be multi-platform. So here are the ones that are multi-platform that were shown off. Alan Wake 2, Assassin's Creed Mirage, Cat Quest Pirates of the Caribbean, I love that title, Dragon's Dogma 2, Ghost Runner 2, Immortals of Aveum, that's coming in June, Bungie's Marathon game that they're making, Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater, that is not going to be exclusive to PS5. That's going to be multi-plat. Neva was another one. Down is coming to other consoles, which is interesting. The Plucky Squire, we all knew that already. And the Talos Principle 2. So that's a lot of games right there that they were showing off that are not exclusive to PlayStation, which I don't mind, really. I prefer things to be multi-platform so that more people can play them. But in terms of showing the dominance and strength of your console, it's not a great showing. But then again, I mean, I've talked about this at the end of the program as well. PlayStation didn't need to show their dominance. This could have been very lazy on their end, and they could have been just fine. They own the market right now. Did they need a big showing? No. But was it a big showing? Not really. It was, like I said, it was like a C in this case. My highlights, the things I thought showed off pretty well, were Spider-Man 2 looked really good. And I'm actually kind of excited for it, so I might actually try out the other two, or beat the other two before that comes out. The unfortunately named Foam Stars. This is such a lazy name, but the game looks neat. The game looks like, I guess, a more graphically intense and vibrant Splatoon, but man, do they need to come up with a better name. Like, call it something else, please. Except, like, Foam Stars. That's like calling Splatoon Ink Kids, or, Ink Squids, or something like along those lines. Like, that would be terrible. Like, call it something else, please. Rename that. But that does look interesting. Of course, Marathon was shown off, which was pretty cool. Dragon's Dogma 2 was just a trailer with a little bit of gameplay, but that's a game I need to play again to get another grip on, but I definitely am interested in that. And Helldivers 2 was the other one that I thought was pretty cool. That had a really good trailer, actually, and I'm excited for that because they're making that a third-person shooter other than and not a top-down shooter. So I'm curious how that actually is. That was difficult back then too, so I thought that's interesting. I want to check that out. That's really it for the PlayStation Showcase recap. Again, I think this was a C grade affair on this. There were some interesting things, but a lot of the interesting stuff is multi-plat. The only things that were really shown off well, I think we were all expecting, such as Spider-Man 2, that were rumored did show up, but they only showed up in like a cinematic trailer, so that's not great. But yeah, I mean, there were some decent games here, but on the other hand, there wasn't really much else to sink your teeth in on there. I think for this next 6 months, it's basically Spider-Man at this point. Like Spider-Man 2, and there's some other games, but I think the most exciting one is going to be Spider-Man 2 at this point. And yeah, C grade, it's fine, not great, not terrible, but yeah, that's my opinion on the stream there. All right, well, that's it for this gaming news roundup, and that is it for this episode of Capital Games. Saturday, I'm going to be doing the weekly dividend, and I'll be playing some Arcade Paradise to talk about all the other things that were not talked about throughout the week. And on Friday, me and Kim Shackman are going to review Fantastic Planet. I gotta watch that. I totally forgot about that. I gotta watch that tomorrow. So look forward to that as well. That looks weird, by the way. So check it out if you are interested. But until then, I am the Wiz. This is Capital Games. Talk to you next time. Bye. Thank you for checking out Capital Games, where we cover the business side of the video game industry. Please like, subscribe, and comment if you enjoyed the video. You can also subscribe to the podcast if you prefer to have it on your podcast feed. And check us out on our socials and email us if you have a question, comment, or suggestion. Thank you for watching and listening. We'll hear from you next time.